Hi people, I'm Modoni
I'm Caroline.
Diana.
I'm Sally.
and together we are
SOS Dadas.
Hi Sally.
She didn't know what she was doing.
Welcome back guys. This time round we're discussing boundaries in a way to break down healthy relationships. Okay? Now, for me, boundaries means running away. Yeah, because I don't like doing confrontations,
Yes.
So instead of addressing something difficult with you, I'd rather just disappear, let that thing fizzle out, and then what happens to us then we'll figure it out. But if I keep doing that, I'll end up with no farm, no friends, no nothing.
Correct.
I'll just be a hermit. I talk way too much not to talk to anyone. So now, let me ask you, Carol, how do you maintain healthy boundaries with your family and still, don't step on each other, but you're still respectful to one another?
So I am the last one in my family. And we are a family of we are a family of 3 siblings. So you can imagine being the last on that ladder and also being very opinionated. So yeah, and also being brought up in a family where our parents have let us have our voice to give our feedback even when you don't like something to our even my dad, and you look at you like, okay fine, so what are you saying? And we can have a back and forth with my dad. So many families they'd be like, that's an argument with your father, that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
But to us it is having a discussion with my father and me telling him what I don't like about it. So what I've learned from all this experience and being married in a family that's totally different from mine in regards to how I see my husband and the siblings relate to their parents in terms of communication. First of all, for me, I would say it's very important to understand the personalities of the people you're working with. So case in point, growing up, my personality is very similar to my father. So I'm very much bound to clash with my father because we're the same personality. We're very headstrong. So learning that in my adulthood, in my teenage years, I fought a lot with my dad. Actually, having
physical.
No. What? I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, yeah. So being headstrong. But then in my adulthood, I've become very close with my dad. Why? I understand our personalities, and at times I understand when I'm being too headstrong on something that's not an issue and I need to let go. I'm like, Daddy, fine, have your way.
Understanding.
So understanding personality, yeah.
So sweet, she became like 5.
So understanding someone's personality is very, very important. And then also you'll notice that at times you will keep having recurring conflict with certain members of the family.
Yes.
It could be your sister. Like case in point, I can remember my brother and I having such a bad argument that we're not talking for days. My brother and I can never remember, like for the 31 years. Can never remember being so mad at my brother that I've not talked to her in days. But guess what? My sister and I, hey, that has happened. And
once a year?
it's not one. No, in adulthood it's like once in every 2 to 3 years.
Oh, okay, that's good.
No, we've grown up. So when that happens, no, I don't know what usually happens. It's the devil. So it's also when you notice such, it's very important for you to notice patterns. Because to be very honest, there's nothing new under the sun. The same issues you're having with your siblings right now, if you trace them back, probably you're having them when you were children.
Yeah.
So for me, having realized the patterns between how my sister and I relate, and we love one another very much. Like my sister would do anything for me, and I would do anything for her. And I've seen situations where both of us have sacrificed greatly for for the other. So it goes back to be the bigger person when you realize the patterns and apply wisdom in regards to how we relate. So like, for example, when I notice that a certain thing is a pain point between my relationship with my sister, I'm not being shallow. It goes back to there's things that I will not address with her. And if I want to address with her, I will take time and I will use wisdom. So that is what, like in my adulthood, I've seen really helping us to avert a lot of conflict between the two of us. So other times you'll have conflict with your parents consistently, and you're a grown man, a grown woman, you can afford to pay your own rent, you work. Surely, you know what? It's told that familiarity breeds contempt. Imagine just move out. for your own peace, and also to nurture that relationship with that parent or sibling. If you're staying with your sibling, it only makes so much sense for you to move out and go and stay by yourself. Because also when you stay and you're staying by yourself and staying at your own house, also there's some sort of respect that comes that I'm not seeing you every time, and you get to even love one another more. Like I remember having my parents don't stay in Nairobi. My parents stay in Kirinyaga. So when I came to Nairobi to do my university, I was staying with my brother. He was single, we were staying together. Now, my brother and I have never had those conflicts for craziness, what I've just mentioned right now. However, when my brother got married, my sister-in-law is very loving and I laugh her to bits. However, I kept having conflicts. So when it reached the point that I was done with school, I was earning my own salary, I made a wise decision to move. Guess what? I'm closer to my sister-in-law now than I am closer to my own brother. So there's some of those small petty conflicts that are brought by just being within the same space. And you need to apply wisdom for, imagine, it's not worth my relationship with my parents to consistently conflict with them. You're a grown-up person. If you can afford rent, please go and rent for yourselves. It doesn't matter whether you'll sleep on the mattress for a few months, but it's a starting point, and it will help you have healthier relationships with your parents and also your siblings.
You made a literal boundary, like a physical boundary. Like you drew, this is my space, that is yours. That's your house.
No, you need to do that. Like actually, even I remember when I was growing up, my grandmother having a lot of issues with my aunties who are married in the family and they stay within the same homestead with her. It just goes back. The more you see each other, then there's some other row that crops in and lack of respect that comes from you guys staying within the same space. In retrospect, I used to see a lot of my aunties who stayed in their city getting along very well along with my grandmother, which shows that actually that familiarity of being in the same space actually does breed content. So it goes back to the boundary may mean move. Move.
I think I can give a personal example on that, just to add on the boundary and physically moving. I and my sister have had a heated, challenging relationship. I wouldn't say it's the best as it is right now, but the whole aspect of creating boundaries physically away from her presence has made me respect her as a human being. I hope that it has also helped her to respect me and my views. And because I would say we are similar in certain things, but we are, radically different in others. And so, her coming from a family where my siblings are much older than me, there's that aspect of expectation as well. So I think the whole aspect of physically being away from her, I don't see her very often, but when I do, it's I won't start remembering, you took my dress, or you did this, or you didn't do that. It's because we've been apart for so long, those things now go under the surface. So physically that helps. So if you have the means and pray about it, sometimes you just need to go away and then come back. Like Jacob and Esau, like when Esau left, that is a great example in the Bible where there was a parting and there was physical parting. So by the time Esau was coming back, Jacob was worried, guy, he's gonna kill me. So he even put his love, Rebecca, at the back. It was Rebecca or Rachel at the back. And, because he thought his brother would come and kill him. But that separation kind of healed the wounds. It took time.
It was Rachel.
It was Rachel.
Yes, yeah. Rebecca is their mother.
Their mother. It just made me realize that boundaries need to be there, because the potential of when you're perpetually together, the instances of you getting under my skin,
they're great,
are so much higher than when there is space. Because as you notice, that the moment you are gone, when you come back, you don't have time. You don't have time for pettiness.
Exactly.
It's like you jump in
to the point.
Oh, I've missed you.
My sister is a mother. I'm like, how's your son? We start
so
talking
much
about
to catch up on.
Yeah, exactly.
I think in situations, I would say mine is different. I still live at home till today. I think that's where now respect comes in.
Yes.
That's true.
When you're in a situation where you are still within,
and you can move out.
I don't see the need of paying rent in Nairobi. And
no, it could be for some people they can't totally
move out because of that.
But if you can't,
for me, I can, but I don't see the reason of paying rent. And I just want to be picked from my father's house when I'm getting married. That's just those are my ideologies. So I feel for me, respect is important. And constant communication and feedback. I think that's one thing my father has instilled in us. Like with those people, when we meet as a family, at the end he'll be like, okay, even if we're just meeting for fun, would you like to say something? He goes round the table and everybody has their say to say something.
Mr. Ochola.
And I remember when my sister-in-law Sharon, who my younger brother, came into the family, for her, she every time it flickers her time, she keeps like, I'm still not used to it. She was like, I'm just happy to be here. Like it's taking her time to adjust to being in that space. And I think when that space happened, because when you call each other out, like sometimes even when I want to call out my dad, we do like a lobbying. I call my big brother. My mother calls my big brother. Me, I call Ted. So we lobby. So when you have a family meeting, like, Dad, you've not done well. And then he listens. Exactly, in the back. So it's like we formed this car unit at the back. And I think that allows us to respect each other in a space where you not able to live away from your parents because whether financial reasons or whether by choice, whatever the reason is, develop that mutual respect and have constant communication even when it's difficult.
I think there's also a willingness on each part to be respectful to one another.
Correct,
because those people who basically just do not like, you might have maybe a sibling and you just don't get along completely. And there is they're not giving you the opportunity to change. You say, I like how all of you can go approach your dad and say, anyway, this is not working. And then you'll be like, oh, really? Okay, let me try to be better. But when you have somebody who's not difficult, lack of a better word, you also need to figure out how to maintain that, because you can't just drop off a sibling because you're difficult. It's just a matter of managing how you relate with them.
And there's even harder. You're talking about your parents' house. What about marriage? It's harder. So probably I can share my personal experience about this. So like with my husband, how do I handle boundaries? I remember a woman in church told me, Carol, at this stage in your marriage, you need to set boundaries on what's acceptable and not what's acceptable to your husband. That he knows, if I do this is not acceptable with my wife. And it's not that I've told him, if you do this, I will do this. It's not that I'm threatening him. But he knows, to my wife, this is acceptable behavior, this is not acceptable. And like for me, case in point, like in terms of fidelity, we discussed it at length when we were courting, and I told him, for me, it's unacceptable for you to cheat on me. And if I ever found you cheating on me, this is not something that I think we can keep talking about it. And for me, that is the standard that I've set. Like, for me, it's not okay. You may decide it's okay. It's okay. Let your husband cheat on you. And it goes back to, also, when you communicate the standard and what is acceptable and not acceptable to you, be also consistent. You see, it's a double-edged sword if I tell my husband, you cannot cheat on me because this will mean this is in our marriage. Now I go and cheat. You see, I'm not being consistent with my same one, with my word. So it's very important for you to set a standard in terms of what's acceptable with anyone you relate with, and also be consistent in upholding that. Because I cannot keep giving you grief even about keeping time, and myself, I'm not keeping time. That's inconsistent. And also have the willingness in such a relationship to consistently give each other feedback. Because the mutual willingness to communicate enables you to build a stronger relationship. And then I wanted to share about the in-laws. Mudhoni, can I still share?
God.
Wow, it's been a journey here learning about in-laws. And my case in point was, most of the times that you have conflict with your in-laws, you know how it comes. So my husband tells me, oh, mom said this and this. And then now me, instead of dealing with my husband, and if it's the mother, I now go and complain to my mother-in-law about what she told my husband. What's your business in it? They keep saying, mind your own business. So like, for me, how I've handled it, there's a time that when we're planning the wedding, my mother-in-law did something that I felt wasn't nice. And when we're planning, it was actually something to do with the service provider. When I felt, and then she did it from the bottom of her heart, she's loving and she wants to help us. For me, how I dealt with it with my husband. I told him, your mom did this. I feel it's disrespectful because of X, Y, Z. And then, because I'm the aggrieved person, but then the spouse that is aggrieved is me, but it's your mother, please deal with it. Imagine you talk to the mother, and the mother came back much later and told me, I'm so sorry about what I did. Aki kama nimekukosea, just forgive me. Because her son told her, you did this and this is how Carol felt. It's not in my business to go and tell my mother-in-law, you kosead me. It's the business of the son to do that. And it's the same thing. My husband has no business to tell my mom or my dad that he kosead. let him tell me, let me face them. You know, they're my parents, by the way. No matter what happens, my parents will still love me. But you know what? If he starts handling those fights himself, he's not their son by blood. It may create a bigger rift and the relationship may be strained longer. And then it also goes back. You go to families that are not perfect and you see issues here and there. Don't give your unsolicited advice unless you're asked. At times we're there fixers as women,
Yeah.
fixing everything wrong with your brother-in-law and your sister-in-law. Who made you God? Just mind your own business. And by minding your own business, you have peace of mind. So like for me, there are things that I know in my family or in my husband's family that are not okay. I usually address it. We address them between the two of us, but it's not me, I'm going to address them directly with a person that I'm not comfortable with.
Wow, so many notes to make.
I know, and it was
Yeah.
so
Read like a
long.
back three.
I know, I feel like we didn't do justice on boundaries, and that was just question 1. Because now then I'm really wondering, so that's family, and you see, I realize family really, cuts deep
It
because it's
cuts
really
deep,
close, yeah?
yeah.
So how do you handle friends? Like, we've been friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
We have had conflict.
Yep.
Clearly, we didn't shy away because we are still here. How do we maintain healthy boundaries between friendships and also go a step further, people you're dating?
More so even among the girls, because I keep hearing young girls say, girls are gossipers, I can't be friends with girls. So like,
Yes.
how is even this working?
I think it's important to set the boundaries from the beginning, like communicate your boundaries from the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is so easy to do with Bella and Snow, my dogs, and so much harder to do with human beings.
Because you yell at dogs and tell them sit.
And they listen. Will human beings
tell me
listen to
sit.
you?
No, the reason is because they
Exactly.
can't respond.
Like, no, they respond.
They come with words. They talk to
They
words.
respond
In action.
with action and everything. But you see, human beings are different because we were not created like animals, just as the truth be told, We have higher responses, we are smarter. And when you don't communicate, you set yourself up for failure.
That's
Very
true.
true.
When
Correct.
you're at the beginning, the way Caro said, you're like, at the beginning of our marriage, this is how we're going to do it. So at the beginning of the friendship, or even, it doesn't have to be like now it's a business meeting, so you go to my friend. So these are my, rules of engagement. But it's more of like, as things go by, you openly communicate your likes and your dislikes. You openly communicate. Another thing is, don't presume everyone lives by your values.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we feel, our values are shared. Even as here, our values are very different,
Very.
So it's important to recognize that we're all different. We all internalize, we all appreciate things differently. So again, if we're not communicating those things and if we're not appreciating each other differently, conflict will arise,
very true.
And when we are not cognizant, sometimes we are not, sensitive. Because we've
That's
been too
true.
familiar with each other.
Hey.
So
Nazoeana.
Tumezoeana.
you begin. But like any relationship that you want to keep fresh, there has to be that deliberate action to be sensitive
Correct.
to one another, to realize that our values and our goals and our ideologies are shaped on very different things. I can imagine how marriage is. Somebody so different has come. Imagine as friends, we grew up differently, we internalize things differently, and now we're in this space. Here we'll go home. Please,
That's my point.
do says.
Yeah.
I'll
Make
go
me
home.
angry.
Yeah,
I'll go
I'm going
home.
home.
See you in 2 weeks.
Mind you're sleeping in the same bed.
Exactly, and I think
Hey.
that's why relationships and friendships build for that. So when we deliberately allow ourselves to be in that space to learn, then our relationship with our boyfriends, our future husbands, not that they'll be perfect, but they'll be a bit different. And I think the third thing I would say is don't be an ostrich. I'm used to being an ostrich. I've been an ostrich. Bury you're in the sand. You're like, nope, me, I don't know what's happening. It's dark where I am. That no,
If I don't see it, doesn't see
it doesn't
me,
affect me.
we are good.
Exactly. But Tuko, somebody could be plucking your feather's Zuko.
It's fine.
Your head
I'm
is
not
down.
seeing it.
Or chopping your legs.
I'm not seeing it.
But you're in pain.
Yes,
But you've decided, I don't, but you lose out, because somebody could be inflicting willful pain onto you.
And that's
because
not
you've
honest,
buried,
yeah.
you've buried your head in the sand. And friendships are difficult. Lovers are difficult because you're loving an imperfect person. And then also you want them to feel you. You have expectations of them. So sometimes it gets hard to communicate. It's easier to bury your head in the sand and not to address issues. I think it's so important as you set boundaries. If you're learning to remove your head, sometimes peek out and then go back. One day you'll actually put your head up straight and walk that walk for I am beautiful, this is who I am, these are my beliefs, I may have a long neck, but I'm still, this is who I am. And then
Correct.
slowly you build those thick walls and thick skins to begin to communicate who you are in your value systems. Yeah.
It's true.
And I've actually seen it with the girls. We've been friends for a long time. And I think I've even had other family members asking me, how are you all still friends?
When the girls.
Yeah, because you come back and one day maybe I have an argument with Carol and I go and tell my sister, Carol did A, B, C, D, and then she's thinking, so why are you still friends? You move on. And that has been one of the questions that you keep handling, keep answering once in a while, because it's been known that women can't be friends for long, or they always need, something else is happening, we're all using each other for some other reason. But you realize when you actually put our boundaries, when you can understand who we are and how we are, and start communicating back and forth, that really strengthened our friendship, and I can actually see it going on for a very long time. I don't need to tell Diana, I'm angry at you, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I can still talk to her tonight. Right? So, Sally, I'm thinking, because you've handled things that are pretty close and people we care about. But let's think about workmates. These are not really people that we like necessarily, but you do have to work together so as to, make things move, whatever projects you're working on and things like that.
You can even give feedback and get fired.
Actually, not if it actually does
happen, yeah? So what would be the ideal way to maintain healthy boundaries with a workmate? Yeah, still get stuff done and still go home without feeling like you've taken so much out of me.
That's true. Oh my gosh, like when you look at a close relationship, it's easy to say, okay, here I need to, because I feel like this person is important to me, right? But now when you go out to a more distant relationship, now you're looking at your boss, your desk mate at work, your business partner, your business partner sometimes can actually be your family members. Like for me personally, some of my businesses have relationship, especially with my in-laws, with my sister-in-law, from my brother's side. I'm not married, I'm still single, but my brother's wife, who I love to death, she's amazing. And those types of relationships have something else apart from just how you feel. They have a goal. You all want to achieve. You all want to achieve. It could be financial, it could be more. You want to achieve a certain target, right? And so you have to be aware of that target at all times. I think the reminding of, and that's why when you go to a company, a corporate company or any business, I always advocate. I'm an organizational development specialist. So I'll always say, put out your vision and your mission on the wall. Have it there so that you see it every day. And it helps. It's not because it's not decoration on the wall where you enter your company and you find in the reception, our mission is, our vision is, our service charter written there. It's with reason so that you know, why am I here? Why do I get up in the morning, go through traffic and go to work? So that is essentially the first part. Why are you in that workplace? So usually more, I guess, lack of or conflicts or challenges in the workplace happen because people don't understand why they are there and what they're trying to achieve ultimately in that relationship. So when we're looking at building that healthy relationship, whether it be, Dan and Carol would say the best when it comes to a business partner, but I'll just go general specifically when it comes to in a workplace setting or a place where you have a motive to achieve something beyond yourselves. I think the first thing, it's something we've shared in also personal one-on-one boundaries with people, is building mutual respect. Building mutual respect amongst for yourself and for the other person. And respect comes also with the aspect of, respecting somebody's personal space. If somebody's personal space is being violated, they are going to retaliate. That's automatic, because our bodies will retaliate something that is getting, oh, you're in my space, They're asking about like questions. I remember I loved my project. I used to work for a project called Funzo Kenya, and we used to have meetings, and of course we worked and things got done. We were able, by God's grace, to achieve our targets. It was a 5-year project, but there were times when we would get into each other's space, like, oh, so and so got divorced, or so and so has had a challenge at home, and we'll pry into that information too much so that it doesn't involve the target of why we're working. Like, why am I getting into your family issues? Why am I trying to give, as Carol said, unsolicited advice where I've not been asked for? You feel you're Miss Fix It all, Miss what? like it's giving you a negative rep than a positive one, and you don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable around you, because it will subconsciously affect how they perceive your work and how your productivity will be. So as well, also insist upon setting boundaries. Diana said, like from the beginning, there you actually have a legal and a project mandate to set boundaries, because you have to also set boundaries even with your clients, because when you work, especially for most of us who are in business, you have clients who will call you at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Come on,
That is
surely.
so true.
For example,
It's
me
like
who
you don't go
cooks-
to sleep.
me who cooks tofu, like honestly, it becomes I get emotionally involved, in the sense that I get upset, very angry that somebody is calling you, like you don't have a life. Like I just sit inside tofu and swim in tofu, so I have to have tofu every minute of every day. Like, and if you don't set it for yourself, and the ways you can set it respectfully, you don't now blast that person. Do you know what time it is? I'm like, okay, I'll put on my Safaricom voice and be like, okay,
Even nice you pick.
You
the
pick up,
order,
yeah.
because I mean, we know when you're in a startup where you need pesa, but still you have to set the boundaries, and it's quick and easy for you to say, because I'm not that established, I'll just be desperate and just allow anyone to walk over me. But still, you need to set it so that for your sanity and for that person's sanity. Another thing is like,
Yeah, but before you go too far from that, because I think I the whole calling at 2 a.m. and stuff, because even it can even be in the form of a WhatsApp message. I think another way to just be to put a good boundary between you and your client is to be like, okay, you send me a WhatsApp message, I probably not respond to it until it's like working hours. So it's not that a way that I am ignoring the client, because I understand how a startup begins. The beginning, you just really want to look as if you're responding to them. But at the end of the day, it ends up draining you so much that now you end up now being resentful about it.
Yeah.
So if you take your mindset out of that, it just be like, they've sent me a message, I have seen it, I shall respond to it first thing in the morning, give out the guidance that they did, and then move on from there. Because even there's that realizing, if I text Mogani after a particular hour, I'm not going to get a response. I can even call them back in the morning, so that it doesn't have to be a text. So they realize, here we talk on phone, not necessarily
WhatsApp.
via WhatsApp.
So actually, a case in point for us, what we did when we started our social media promotions, our page has our working hours. And if you send us a message, like weekends you do not work, if you send us a message on Friday, most likely Friday night,
Yes.
after 6 p.m, we'll respond on Monday. We'll be like, hi, sorry, we do not operate on the weekends. However, on what you needed, we can be able to do X, Y, Z. Then also, technology has really enabled like social media management to have very simple tools. We have an autoresponder on our Facebook page, which tells someone, hi, Modoni, we're not able to get back to you right now. However, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Then it has a nice code that the customer gets. So that also, for us, in a business sense, has enabled us to set boundaries with customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as much as you want it can really get nuts, and end up being so
crazy.
involved and then resentful, and then the word doesn't go around anymore.
I think it's humans. When you give them leeway, they keep. The quote I said last time, when the purpose of thing is not defined, abuse. Because that's a form. Because they'll be like, but they always call. But they'll always speak. Because you're the one who let the in. So it's upon us to define how do we want to be treated. Someone will only treat you as what you let them treat them.
Yeah. So still on the aspect of building healthy workplace relationships, it could be an office, it could be, as we said, as you've had relationships in a business situation. You are what you show other people to treat you, as in they'll treat you the way you show them to treat you. Yeah, the way you set the standard. So another thing I think is very important when building those boundaries is, especially when it comes, I not speak on something that's very personal to me because I've experienced it and I've seen people being burnt by it, is office politics. Within an organization where that has a hierarchy with, power being at the top and, watering down, office politics period has negative connotations towards it. You don't want to get involved, even if it's in a small, minute way, as gossiping, like just talking about somebody behind their back, or starting out. I mean, it may be like, oh, we're going for the cause, we're trying to make them better. That's not your job. You're there to do you're given a job description. They're not there at your interview. So you were sitting in that room alone. You
Yeah.
got the job description alone. It was not Sally and others. No, it was Sally alone to deliver. I had certain targets to do, etc. Because people have gotten themselves burnt. Because I won't give the names, but specifically one colleague of mine actually lost his job because he was, this thing of being seen at the wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
So because he was just associating with gossipers in the workplace, he actually got fired, and a court case was brought upon him.
Wow.
Because all these other so-called friends in the workplace threw him under the bus, because they're like, dude, you stupidly got involved and now you're paying the price. So there are negative connotations more than positive ones when you get into office politics. My motto is, if you cannot tell somebody something to their face, do not say it at all.
Yeah.
Don't go behind and start saying, if I can't come and tell you, hey Mudhoni, I think you dress badly, or I think you do, you do, yeah, you don't. But I was just complimenting on whether it's wearing a nice jacket. It's very, very nice. So yeah, so like if I start such things, or I'm like, hey, Mudhoni doesn't know how to dress, and I'm telling Carol, I should be able to come and tell you with a solution to it. Also, I think like emotionally, like don't, as we said earlier, when it comes to response in anger, like don't immediately respond to something that has offended you, even though it's personal, it really offends you. Take a walk it out, deal with it, then come back later with a new perspective. Because when you think about it, like, this is not an intimate relationship.
Yes.
You're there for a certain period of time. So do you really need to drag it for 4 years until, even if I meet one of my project mates in the supermarket, I'm like, I'm not talking to you? Really?
No.
Like, are we 2 years old? Like, let's move on, And
Guilty.
oh yeah, testify, Mudhoni. Then, in case you don't understand something in the workplace, and maybe has led you to have certain expectations about somebody, which I think expectations are the killer of relationships. Having expectations without actually consulting to find out what exactly did you mean. Ask for clarification where you don't understand. It doesn't make you less competent if you go and tell somebody, I don't understand. Even your boss, let's go to the boss situation. You tell your boss, I don't understand my job description, could you clarify for me? If that person is unable to do that, then that is entirely, completely and utterly a bad rep on them, because they're not good at what they do. They're not professional, especially a manager, if they cannot explain themselves 2 times, 3 times. And I think limit your sharing about your life.
Your personal life.
Like, separate as in, I know we're supposed to mingle and be as a team. I know they say we are a team, we're achieving our goals. Separate, even when it comes to friendships in business, and even when it comes to, like, personal friendships, or even like people who are married and they have a business together. Like, my goal is to have a business with my husband, and so if we're having a business together, essentially we should be able to separate our sharings, our issues. Like, I won't bring issues of, babe, you did not even
Do the dishes
you didn't do the dishes, or you left your socks again, or why didn't you fix that? And then again, we're going back to, and this is a situation where we're supposed to be paying an electrical bill for the office. So I mean, those things need to be separate, and this can only happen with the grace of God, where you're able to go back to God to help you, because in your carnal nature, all this will fail. But again, I'd repeat, the most important thing is respect. Once you build respect, you're able to have a solid way, or in a respectful way, of having boundaries without offending anyone.
Okay. That makes me think about, Diana and Carol are in business together, and you've been at it for like a while, yeah?
Almost 2 years now.
Yeah, how do you
No, but
maintain...
actually we ran a business together earlier. I managed her business.
You managed a business.
Yeah.
So how do you guys maintain boundaries?
Probably I can share. I remember once a lady in a church seminar asking us, about business, and we were talking about investment, and she asked us, who are you going to bed with? Anytime you're going to business, ask yourself, and you're partnering with someone, who are you going to bed with?
That's very graphic.
I know, but it's
hits
that
home.
graphic. Because
It needs to be that graphic.
You don't just go to bed with anyone.
Hopefully.
I go to bed with my husband. So, because I trust him, I love him, and I respect him.
Yeah.
So, I'm not just starting a business is like going to bed with someone. Ask yourself, who are you going to bed with?
Hashtag
And
that.
if you do not share values, my friend, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So it's mentioning that back in 2012 when Diana was in Ghana, actually for that year I was managing her business.
Oh,
She
I
was
remember
running
that, yeah,
a
the shoe
shoe
shop.
business. We're calling it Shoe Loft. So for me, I was, by the way, I've never been paid a bullet at my check. This
Yeah, your story.
Bringing in old stories.
The ones for 4 years down the line.
I was volunteering to manage Diana's business, which she never paid me for till today.
Volunteering, Carol. Then you in a salary.
Please, she should anafaa kurudisha mkono.
Expectations were not set. Boundaries were not set.
And expectations were high.
Hey.
So looking back for me now, last year when Diana and I decided, she said, oh, pray for me, I want to do XYZ business. So when I told her, let's talk about it, for me it was, I've done business with Diana before. She's my friend. I've known her for a couple of years. I know we have a couple of many shared values that it would not be an issue for me. So like case in point, we had another business partner and she fell the cracks. She left the business. And it's okay. And for me, it was such a relief, to be very honest. Because I really need to be able to trust you fully if I'm doing business with you.
Oh, yes.
And for me, it goes back to, because I trust Diana. I don't doubt that. I don't have it, those things for checks and balance. Then I will go and wipe out our business account. Yes, everyone actually like... No, actually...
You see that laughter she has.
Yes.
So she's laughed. Scary.
Pressure.
You see, despite us being friends, we've created systems within our business that enable us to have checks and balances. Because also, this business is not just going to be Diana and I forever. We were going to have employees and we hope that we can pass the mantle to our children. So like right now for our business account, yes, we are friends, but we are also very formal with one another. Our business account, you can only transact when there is an approval by the other person. So I will go, I need a requisition, 50,000 to buy ingredients. Diana has to approve before the money checks into my account. So there's that. So yet we are friends, but then there's the official bit, and business is business. And I will hold Diana accountable. Diana, you did not do this. Why didn't you do it? And Diana will hold me accountable in regards to Cara. I did not like how you communicated to me about that issue. Yes, I had done wrong, but imagine you could have communicated it with love. I think for us, the communication and also setting what I would say the expectations together and jointly in regards to this is our goal as a business, this is what we want to do, and this is how we transact our business. If we have a tracker that you're meant to report on every week on what you're doing for the business, imagine you have to report. And that point is not in my heart for, okay, Diana, why didn't you do it? Then you start telling me you went for a wedding. What nonsense. We don't do such things.
Yeah, because there's respect.
Yeah, there's respect, and we've set boundaries within ourselves by creating rules and regulations that we work on, what we operate under.
Yeah, and I think just to talk about another difference, because we both of us are not from the same denomination.
Yes.
You know, and I remember when
Religiously, you mean?
yes, like I'm Adventist and Carol is not. So for me, I don't work on Saturdays. And that was a conversation we needed to have in terms of, so how will the business run? You know, and I remember when we sat down, and that's why even Carl gave an example, we don't operate over the weekend. Like if somebody texts us on Friday, they'll get a response on Monday.
Yeah.
You know, and that has allowed us both to allow our individual fellowships to still be there. Yeah. But another thing, Carol does not, for example, Carol on Sundays, she's okay with us running an activation on a Sunday.
But don't call me to run it.
Yes, like for her, she doesn't, because she is in fellowship on that day. So I will. So you see, once there's that open communication and how things run based on your values, because our values are different, how we execute them are different. It allows you to go like, okay, so then how will this operate, so that we respect each other's values, and there's no for somebody's losing or somebody's gaining. There's no this is benefiting more Caro than it's benefiting me. And that level of openness and value system will also penetrate when we employ. So if we've not built that culture between the two of us,
Employees will see it.
The employees will see, hey, if I side with Caro, I'll get my way, or if I side with Dan, I'll get my way. So what organizational culture do you begin, even as just the two of us? What organization have we set as the two of us? What culture have you set in the home as individuals? Because that will permeate into how things run in your life.
It's interesting. So now we can actually stop being ostriches, hiding our face in the sand, if we basically mark out our boundaries properly, whether it's physical, whether it's via respect, basically just knowing, so that we can be able to relate to one another better and ultimately have healthy relationships.
Yes.
Anything else somebody wants to add before we wind up?
Mine, I would say communicate. Don't assume. Because
Yeah.
when you
Square
assume,
No. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
oh no, God, you too. Yeah. They finished for me my point. It's fine.
You're welcome. We are here for you.
And I guess another thing would be the aspect of respect. When respect is not there and it's not mutual, you are not bound to have any success. Whether be it an intimate relationship, whether it be a corporate relationship in the office, whether it be, personally with, your business partner, where is the respect? Because you want to receive respect. And with respect, then all the other things follow. You know that we're on the same page, that you have that. There won't be even enough battles within yourself. Like, does that person, like, they don't keep boundaries, and you're like, you deem that person as disrespectful. So build the aspect of respect yourself to actually be treated well. So you give what you get. So if you're giving respect, you are bound to get respect, and not respect the way you just want it to be, but how you should respect somebody with the key points we've given you. And I'm sure you'll find lots of information on our website on it, but respect is very important in any relationship.
Set parameters early.
Yeah.
When you don't set parameters, abuse is inevitable. I'll keep saying that. Abuse is inevitable at all levels. Workmate, family. Set parameters early.
I don't want to be abused.
Set parameters. Communicate and respect.
Yeah. Anyway, so as we wind up, we just want to let you know that you can find more about us on our blog, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page, on our YouTube channel. We are SOS Dadas.
Yep.
We are grateful to Billy Black, our producer. So awesome.
He is.
Yeah.
He knows.
And he knows. He knows it, yeah. So until next time.
Bye.